So the question was minus, let me start again, minus 3x squared. The network of plates misbehaves per minus 3x. Let me get a question. Minus 3x plus 18 plus 24. Michelle, what do you get for this? Are you going to get a maximum value or a minimum value? Michelle. Michelle. Michelle.
Say minimum value.
You said we are going to get what? What are you going to get?
Say maximum value.
Good. So we are going to get a maximum value. So what do you also get for the numbers? What do you get for your y and x? What do you get? The y value, what do you get, please?
So y is spot 1, x spot 3.
Oh, okay. Once you had the same number, then I think you all had the same distance. So no need. So now we are going to do solving quadratic equations. Now in solving quadratic equations, the first one we did was drawing quadratic graphs. Now we are going to do solving quadratic equations. In solving quadratic equations, there are four what do you call it? Four formulas or methods we can use. Now we can use number one, the factorization method, which in commerce you've been taught, or commerce you'll be taught to use the factorization process, and we will also be doing the completing of squares. So here we will be doing the elective maths, we will be doing the completing of squares, and we also be using the quadratic formula. Then we also can be using the graphical method. You can also be using the graphical method. Now, normally in commerce, just as I told you, you consider using the factorization method and the graphical methods. In elective maths, we will add the completing of squares and the what do you call it? The using of the graph almighty formula, what you call the quadratic formula. Have you done quadratic equations in commerce? Yeah, yet to. Have you? So when it's time for commerce, you do the factorization method and the graphical method. And today I'll teach you the using the completing of squares and the quadratic formula. So that is it. Now the completing of squares is very simple. It is more or less, it looks almost similar to what we did when we are finding for the maximum value and the y and the x. And so it looks very like that. Now finding the roots of quadratic equation. We are going to look at it. Oh, I'm coming. Sorry. Good. So we are first going to consider using the what do you call it today, completing of squares. So solving quadratic equations. Solving. I hope you cannot hear me. Solving quadratic equations. Ruben, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Good. Solving quadratic equations.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Using number one, the completing of squares. And number two, using what do you call it? The almighty formula or quadratic formula. quadratic formula. So that's what we are going to do. So we are first going to start with the what do you call it? We are first going to start with the completing of squares. Then we finish with the quadratic formula. Now, with the oh, my phone isn't even. With the quadratic formula, sorry, with the completing of squares, the first thing you are going to do, you are going to find the roots of the equation. And so we are going to find the root of the equation. So find the root of the equation. The root of the equation is the x and the y in this case. And so the root of the equation is the x and y in this case. So you first have to make sure the coefficient of the x squared is 1, just as we did previously. So you are first going to make sure that it is 1. Then you do this by dividing through the equation by the coefficient of x squared, just as we did the other time. So for instance, if you are given 3x plus so and so and so and so, you realize that the 3x squared is 3, so you divide by 3, just as we've been doing. It follows the same principle. Then in this case, the next thing you are going to do is you divide the coefficient of the x by 2, just as we did previously. It follows the same principle. Then now you add both sides, you add to both sides the square of it. You are going to do it. And we finish, we are going to complete the squares. And so that is what we are going to do. So let's try an example. So example, we are given something like this. This is a completing of squares, very simple. We finish right now. You already have an idea. So we have 2x squared we have 2x squared plus 3x minus 2 is equal to 0. Now, using the completing of squares, the first thing we are going to do is we are going to make sure that the coefficient of x squared is 1. Here, the coefficient of x squared is 2. So then to make it 1, we are going to divide through by 2. So dividing the whole of this by 2, we are going to get x squared plus 3 all over 2 over 2x minus 1 is equal to 0. So this is the first thing you are going to do. This is the first thing you are going to do. Now, secondly, what we are going to do is we may decide to bring this one here. We may decide to bring this one here. So we are going to get x squared plus 3 all over 2 plus 3 all over 2 is equal to positive 1 using the completion of squares. Michelle, I hope you can hear me, please. Michelle, can you hear me? Michelle. Ruben, can you hear me? Ruben, can you hear me? Ruben.
Loud and clear.
Good. So we have this. I hope I'm recording. So we have this. So when we get here, the next thing is we are going to divide the coefficient of x by 2. When we divide the coefficient of x by 2, what we are going to do is this will be x squared plus, so when we divide this by 2, we are going to get 3 all over 4. You know that. So I'm going to get 3 all over 4. And we are going to square it like we've been doing. So we are going to add both sides by this one. We are going to add. Unlike the first one, we say add and subtract. Here we are going to add both sides because we're already taking this side here. We are going to add this side by this. We are going to add this side by this. So we are going to get x squared plus 3 all over 2 all over 2x plus 3 all over 4 plus 3 all over 4 squared is equal to 1 plus 3 all over 4 1 plus 3 all over 4 squared. Have you seen it? Have you seen it? So now
Yes.
when you get here, you bear with me that x plus 3 all over 4 into bracket all squared is the same as x squared plus 3 all over 2x plus 3 all over 4. It's the same thing. When you expand, so this, the whole of this is equal to x plus 3 all over 4, 3 all over 4, all squared is equal to 1 plus, this all squared, this will be 1 plus 9 all over 16. 9 all over 16. Now, so now we can come, you come and get x plus 3, x plus 3 all over 4, all over 4, x plus 3 all over 4, all squared is equal to 1 plus 9 all over 9 all over 16 is what? What are you getting? 1 plus 9 all over 6.
One whole number, 9.
So this is the same as 25 all over 16. This is the same as 25 all over 16. This is the same as 25 all over 16.
Yes, sir.
Good. Now, to take away the square, we are going to square root this one so that we can take away the square. I hope you know that this is mathematics. So x plus 3 all over 4 is equal to root of 25 all over 16. Have you seen it? Have you seen it?
Yes, sir.
Good. Michelle just joined. I'll explain. I'll go over, so don't worry. Oh, I'm coming there. I don't want to drag this one. So when we get here, so this will be x plus 3 all over 4 is equal to root 25 all over 16 is what? Root 25 all over 16. Root when you have root
I
4,
follow.
when you have root 4 is the same as plus or minus root 2. Have you seen it? Is equal to plus or minus root 2. You said that's it. So,
Yes, sir.
so this one is equal to either plus or minus root 25 over 16 is the same as 5 all over 4. Equal to 5 all over 4. So you have x plus 3 all over 4 is equal to plus or minus 5 all over 4. So now you are going to get two x values. The first x value will be adding, the second x value will be subtracting. So you have plus or minus. So it means that the first x will be equal to, when I bring this one here, I'm going to get negative 3 all over 4, right? I'm going to get negative 3 all over 4, negative 3 all over 4. I can first pick the plus. So plus 5 all over 4 plus 5 all over 4. And x will give me 1 all over 2. Then I can come and pick the minus. So the minus 2 will be x is equal to negative 3 all over 4 minus 5 all over 5 all over 4. And that will also give me minus 2. That will also give minus 2. So my two root values are half or minus 2. Do you get it now? Ruben, do you get it? Do you get how it works?
So no, where did the 3 over 2 go? That's what I don't understand.
Is it this 3 over 2? Oh, like we've been doing,
Yes, sir.
the first one. When you get here, you expand this one and see if you won't get this one. Expand this one and see if you won't get this one. The whole of this is the same as x plus 3 all over 4 into brackets raised to the power 2. So if you like, you can expand it. When you expand, you are going to get x plus 3 all over 4 into bracket x plus 3 all over 4. When you multiply, you are going to get this. You can try. You are going to get the whole of this. So the whole of this can simply be written as x plus 3 all over 4 into bracket 2. Do you get it now?
Yes.
Good. So let me go over again. So in using completing of squares, the first thing I'm going to do is you are going to make sure that the first your x squared is 1. The coefficient of x squared is 1. So you have 2x squared plus 3x minus 2 is equal to 0. So in making sure that it is 1, you divide through by 2. So we divided through by 2. When you divide this through by 2, it will cancel. So you are going to say x squared plus 3 all over 2x minus 1 is equal to 0. Then what we are going to do is we are going to take away the minus 1 to the other side. The one without the x to the other side. So you had this one. Then what you are going to do is you are going to divide the x, the coefficient of x by 2. And so we divide the coefficient of x by 2 and we have 3 all over 4. And we are going to square the results like we did for the first one. After squaring the results, we are going to add both sides. We are going to add the results to both sides. So we added the results, this one to this side, and we added this one to this side. Unlike the first one, we wouldn't have even sent this one here. We would have just say add or subtract, but this one, this is what we are going to do. So when we get it in this case, then we can use the mathematics and we will come and get this one. Now when we get here, now we are looking for x or the root of this equation. Now, which is the x? We are looking for the root of this equation. So what we are going to do is x plus 3 all over 4 raised to the power 2 is equal to, we simplify this one, we had 25 all over 16. Now after simplification, we have 25 over 16. To make sure that the whole of this stands on its own, then we are going to square this one because the whole of this is squared. So we are going to square this one so that we can take away the root here. Now after doing it, we had 5 all over 4 plus or minus 5 all over 4. This means that into bracket minus 5 all over 4 times into bracket minus 5 all over 4 will give you 25 all over 16. It also means that into bracket 5 all over 4 times 5 all over 4 will also give you 25 all over 16. I hope you get it. And so when you root it, it's either I get plus or minus this thing, the answer. That's what we do normally when we have roots. And so in other case, in that case, then now we have plus or minus 5 all over 4. Now I want to make x the subject. So making x the subject, x will be equal to, when we bring this one here, and so we are going to get x is equal to minus 3 all over 4 minus 3 all over 4 plus or minus 5 all over 4 plus or minus 4 over 5 all over 4. So we can first add minus 3 all over 4 to this one, to the plus of this. Then when we finish, we come and add this to the minus of this. And so that will give us 2x values. I hope I've made myself clear. So the first one we did, we had half. And the second we did minus 2. I hope it's clear. I hope it's clear. Ruben. Oh, Ruben.